It's the book of Ecclesiasticus of Sirach, chapter 36, and verse 1. And it reads, "Have mercy upon us, O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, power of all, and behold us." Verse 2, "And send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee." Verse 3, "Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power." Verse 4, "As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us." Verse 5, "And let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no power but only thou, O power." Verse 6, "Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works." Verse 7, "Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy." Verse 8, "Make the time short, remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works." Verse 9, "Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people." I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Elohim, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, honors to the elders, to my apostles, the ones that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives, as well as the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. We say shalom to the Akim and Aqua, thought they're listening and learning, Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. To Brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua. Yahweh meaning He is, He exists, or He to be. Hashem, God's in, God's the Hashem, His name. Yahushua meaning He saves or He deliverer. True names of the Most High God and His Son, who these people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, whose true name in Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua. This lesson is inspired by some. I noticed lately a lot of brothers that I happen to listen to, and that was just through the Spirit. About I did a lesson about fear because I was watching this economist I used to listen to. He was speaking on counting the scriptures, and he was talking about certain things, and he said something about that. I titled the lesson off of it. He said, fear is supposed to be a motivator. So I named my lesson, "Fear is the great motivator," because out of fear of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we persuade men. So it made me just think about all these scriptures about fear. And I was listening to a brother. I'm sure I read this scripture, but I just, again, my memory's poor. Saying I ought to say this is a great scripture. I said I was going to have to utilize it in the lesson because, again, the brother helped or brought it to remembrance. And I was like, oh, that's one of those, what's that? Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson, orating the scriptures, type of verse, but. Again, going back to the fear, and I noticed a few brothers made lessons about or made mention of fear. And then the one particular brother in the news was going into fear, and he was naming all these different movies. And I just wanted to add one to it that, which was, it's called Cabin in the Woods. It got the guy that played Thor. I forget his name. The guy that played Thor, though, got him. He has a brother. And his brother took over the lead role in this show or series on Netflix called The Witcher, which that's a pretty good show, but that's based on a video game and a book. Saying all to say this, that movie Cabin in the Woods, I don't want to spoiler alert, but he was going into horror movies, and he was like, he's giving you different scenarios of fear. And some of those things are terrifying to me, but I fear certain things like not being worthy. It's certain things, again, it's a fearful thing to know that you don't have control over your life like you think. You can control how you actually look, but yet still you think you can control your life. You had those succession of earthquakes back to back to back to back, and that should give people fear. I constantly think about that. People woke up that day going to do whatever they thought they was going to do, and then ended up missing. That's fearful. Not only that, but just all the different scenarios. I mean, you think about it, that Northern Kingdom chick that pretty much said that she was snatched up, and something that's simple that people take for granted, water, was denied her. I've been incarcerated. I know how that shit goes. So, the elder even gave a personal testimony about he's seen how it was, and he was pretty much like, damn, he had to pretty much get the elder apostle to, he said, grab some of that soap, because they'll deny you certain shit like that. So let alone the scriptures, And then if they know you want one, you know, you got to remember a lot of the CEOs and people that work there, they don't have a. It will really take the Lord to have to put a spirit on them to get them the Bible. Like the Lord put a spirit on, the jailer for who was that? Paul, I think, when they thought that he escaped, but they didn't. He was about to kill himself. Roughly paraphrased. I think you're right, because Peter escaped, but Paul and them, they didn't. They stayed. And then the jailer thought he was about to have to kill himself, but he didn't. But point being, that movie Cabin in the Woods, is the most accurate one to me, because I thought about it. You got a lot of movies and scenarios. Jason, which Jason and Michael Myers, those are like spirits of vengeance. Like when you go into Michael Myers, it pretty much was a ritual that they did, and the son, Michael had that spirit on him. Like when you go into the original one, he wasn't a grown man, he was a little kid. He just had a spirit of a huge demon on him. Like I said, but if you get into him like that. But Cabin in the Woods was a huge ritual. I ain't gonna spoil it too bad, I'm just gonna say this much: it was a huge ritual, and it showed you if they didn't do the ritual all around the world, because every country showing you, just like how this NWO, all the countries gonna be involved. All the countries had to be involved, and they had to pretty much do these rituals. And if the ritual wasn't done right, pretty much the world ended. And pretty much, it was a scenario. There had to be certain characters that had to be involved. It had to be a female that was like a whore. It had to be, the dumb jock. It had to be the fool, and it had to be this it had to be 4 archetypes. Long story short, and Babylon the Great, aka America, they fucked it up. But with the ritual, it pretty much was all whatever you was fearful of. So whatever you was scared of, that's what came to life. That's what got you. There's another movie like that too, called Tarot. Whatever you feared is what got you. But the Lord, how much of y'all shall know your fears. So that's what we should fear. And that's why it's called the King of Fears. So I just wanted to add to that, other scriptures, which is called, there's a Black, Hispanic, Native Americans, India, West India, or Haitian. I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahshua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I'm going to give all praise, all honor, all glory to call Elohim La Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahshua Ba'ashim Baruch HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles. Till next time, Lord willingly, Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasharallah, and Mawatha Lababah.